all, let's bring in Abbas. He is the Director of Public Policy at the Coalition of Palestinian American Organizations. And I'd also like to welcome Mudar Zahran. He is the Secretary General of the Jordanian Opposition Coalition. And Mudar, I want to start with you. What do you think about this call to stop financially rewarding terrorism?
First of all, those terrorists or those killers in jail, all of them, every single one of them, are Jordanian Palestinians. All people in the West Bank, including Abbas himself, hold Jordanian passports. So you are talking about my countrymen, people we are responsible for, possibly much more than the Palestinian Authority is. That said, there's no question Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, they are corrupt. They are not interested in our people. They're not interested in our future, and definitely not interested in peace. They are financing blood for money in exchange of them staying more in power. The more they send terrorist killers, it's a good investment for them. The more Palestinians, young men, go and kill Israelis, the more that Abbas and his people become more relevant as the only game in town. Jordan's king is playing the same game. Radicalize your public, make them go kill Israelis and Americans and others, make them go crazy, and you will become the only game in town.
Hamas is your thoughts.
The what?
Just that, absolutely silly, what you're saying. Let me address the question. I mean, the question is the so-called funding of the so-called terrorist families. We cannot assume that every single person in Israeli jails is a terrorist. There are women, there are children, and due process is something that does not exist in Israel. But why should we hold the families accountable for a person that's in the family that committed a crime? Israel demolishes the homes of families, and where are these people supposed to live? The women, the children, the grandparents. In 2015, when the Israeli terrorist, firebombed a Palestinian home, did Israel demolish the home of that terrorist? Did Israel stop all welfare aid to that terrorist? And so we cannot blame the family members. They need to eat. They need to put shelter, to have shelter. They need to send the children to school. And so it's not, funding terrorism. It's a humanitarian aid to these families.
But Mahar, considering that martyrdom is praised, do you not think that paying for this incites and encourages violence?
No, actually, to the contrary. If these children have the means to go to school and to nurture these schools, to provide them with the necessary environment to teach them, and to basically help them, not to become extremists.
Aren't the schools teaching them to become extremists? Aren't the schools also part of inciting this culture of violence and hatred, unfortunately?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that whenever we talk about the peace process, the Israeli propaganda machine keeps spewing out this nonsense to try to distract from the truth. And the truth is that the Israeli occupation has to come to an end. The Israeli, from the Palestinian point of view, the Israeli occupation force is a terrorist organization that is terrorizing millions of people. So if we're going to start pointing fingers, I can point to the fact that Israel is providing medical care to ISIS terrorists and then arming them and sending them back to the battlefronts. Why is Israel providing medical aid to ISIS? Why does the former Israeli defense minister...
Mudar, do you share that? Do you share that assessment?
Well, okay. Sorry, for a moment I thought I was on Saturday Night Live, but no problem.
Mudar, I think you are ridiculous. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's let Mudar have an opportunity to speak.
Don't do it the Palestinian Authority way. Don't do it the Palestinian Authority way. Listen, dude. Hey,
what's your way, Mudar? Do you have a way? What's your way, Mudar? You tell me.
Gentlemen, here's the rule. We all have to speak one at a time.
Explain to me.
Otherwise, Michelle and I are going to have to take over here.
The average Palestinian, how come you have to only kill an Israeli to get welfare from Abbas and Jordan's king and the rest of those gang? How about you start caring about
Mudar, you've asked him a question. Let's see if he can answer.
The welfare is provided to Palestinian poor people, not only when there's a person that commits an act.
Sir. You're talking to a Palestinian. Palestinians starve.
And what, you know, you're talking about Palestinians killed. Do you know that in the past 2 weeks, 3 Palestinian civilians were killed by Israelis, including a Jewish settler? Where's the outcry on that? Isn't that terrorism? There are thousands of Palestinian civilians that were killed by Israeli terrorists. And you consider yourself to be...
Maher, you've asked Mudar a question. Let's give him a chance to respond. Maher, you asked a question. Let's give Mudar a chance to respond.
In our blood. Abbas is sending our youngsters while his children are vacation in Paris and London. He's sending our youngsters to kill one Israeli and spend 15, 16 life sentences for a silly stipend that's worth nothing. Look at our people. We were absolutely the Jews of the Middle East. We are the most educated, smartest people in the Middle East. For us now, 11,000 of us are in jails. We need to accept this. We're not going to join any
what do you mean accept it? Why are they in jail? Why are they in jail?
And Abbas and his people are against us. They are terrorists. You know what? They've killed enough of us. Forget about the Israelis. They've killed enough Palestinians. Sir, you and many others are spending the quality time in Washington and London while people like me and my family are struggling. When I go to the West Bank and see the humiliation I get from the Palestinian Authority to my people. People were better off.
And you don't get the humiliation from the Israeli side? I don't suppose you get the humiliation from the Israeli side? I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I think you need to know facts and understand how many Palestinians were killed by the Israeli Defense Forces.
Stop lying to yourself, sir. Those people...
Oh, my gosh. You're the one who's lying to yourself. You're delusional. Instead of standing with the Palestinian people, instead of standing with the Palestinian people, all you do is just criticizing and not providing any productive advice.
Yes, we have a solution, sir. Thank you for this comment. Honestly, now I agree with you. We need a productive solution. Abbas has to go. Jordan's king has to go. We have to rule ourselves through a really genuine peace with Israel. Israel does mistakes.
Oh, really?
Gentlemen, thank you for your perspectives. Clearly, this is not an issue we're going to resolve tonight.
You want Hamas to be the leader of the Palestinians?
Thank you very much. And Mudar, Zahran, thank you both very much for your perspectives.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.